Steel City Sports back here for a bit of a bittersweet moment as my team, the Steelers, have traded Diontae Johnson away to the Carolina Panthers for Diontae Jackson and a pick swap. So just kind of wanted to quickly go over his time with the Steelers and then just kind of talk about how I feel about the trade. So he came to us in 2019 in the third round as what I felt was a very raw prospect, but I think very, very quickly proved that he deserved to be on an NFL roster. I mean, he was out the gate incredible, provided that route running and the versatility that any NFL offense would love to have. And you think back to I'm pretty sure that was his rookie year, was the year that Big Ben was out for basically the entire season. And we had Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph before he was actually good this year. And that was like his big breakout year as a rookie to like lead the team in receiving yards, especially to beat out Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Smith-Schuster as the number one, who after Antonio Brown left, like everyone in Pittsburgh thought Juju was the next guy up. He was going to be the next big receiver for the Steelers, and that just never really panned out. So I remember even talking to guys that year back in 2019, like the only bright spot on the Steelers that year was the emergence of Diontae Johnson. And I think for a couple years, he was actually our best wide receiver. I mean, it might sound weird to say that because we've had so many great prolific receivers, but he really was our top guy for a couple of years. You know, I think back to 2020, 2021, even last year, I'd still say he was our top guy. It wasn't really till this year where Pickens emerged as the clear number one guy, cracking 1,000 yards. So him being a homegrown guy, him very quickly developing into a very productive player who I believe, could be a Pro Bowl level guy. It is always sad to see a homegrown guy like that lead the team, especially in the circumstances that did it, because I think just in a vacuum that the Steelers management didn't really want to get rid of Diontae Johnson. Like if it weren't for him and his vocal criticisms of the team, I don't think he would have been traded because he made it pretty clear, even throughout the season, he was running his mouth a lot about not getting enough targets, and he started to create kind of like this, I don't want to say it was a quarterback controversy, but he definitely added like fuel to that fire whenever, after the year ended, he said, no, there's like no way I would entertain having Pickett as the starter. This is before, obviously, we got Russell Wilson. He was like, I want Rudolph, which you can say that behind closed doors, but to say that publicly, like that doesn't really help the team to go out there and just kind of add to the chaos. And on top of that, just kind of clearly not wanting to be a Steeler anymore led to this trade happening. And I am very upset by it because now I look at our team and I really like the 1-2 punch of Pickens and Johnson because, Pickens is obviously like the Megatron freak athlete type guy, whereas Diontae Johnson is probably the more like overall complete receiver in terms of like a technical route running ability, in terms of just his speed. Like he brings it all. So to have both those guys, on opposing side of the field for Russell Wilson to throw to, I thought was really appealing. And now that he's gone, I look back to the stretch this past season where Diontae Johnson was gone and George Pickens was being doubled like every game. Like Diontae Johnson is going to be a missed piece on this team. Now, knowing the Pittsburgh Steelers, the likely outcome is we're just going to draft a receiver probably in like the third or the fourth round, and knowing us, we'll find a stud. But as of the current makeup of the team, I don't see a clear guy who can step up into that number 2 role. We just cut Allen Robinson. Obviously, he didn't really do anything in Pittsburgh. You look at Calvin Austin III, who I really like, is a speedster. He did miss his entire rookie year, showed some promise this year, but I still don't think he's ready to be an NFL number 2 clear receiver. So that's one thing that now I think is like one of our bigger glaring holes on the team, especially when you have a guy like Russell Wilson who is known to go off script. A guy who, if his first read isn't open, which would be Pickens, he's kind of gotten rattled. Especially that was one of the biggest criticisms of him in Denver. So now that there's like such a massive drop off from the number 1 receiver to whoever the number 2 is going to be, that does worry me. Like I said, we're probably going to look to address that in the draft. As for our return, Diontae Jackson had an incredible rookie year back in 2018. I know it was a long time ago, but I remember back in those days, he looked like he was on the rise as potentially being like one of the next great corners. Had 4 picks as a rookie and was like shut down. Then obviously he got hurt. I can't remember if he got hurt in his second year or his third year, but he did get a big injury there. I feel like that has kind of stunted his career ever since. Not that he's been bad since the injury. It just, like, as a rookie, looked like he was on pace to being like an all-pro guy. But since that injury, I feel like he's never really gotten back on that trajectory. So, like, I like it. He's definitely a good player, and it's definitely a position we desperately need, especially after cutting Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace. We kind of shuffled them around, who was playing safety or who was playing corner. I thought they both sucked, so I'm glad they're both gone. And Joey Porter Jr., as much as I like him, as much as I think he's going to be a stud, clearly needs a lot of development. He was one of the leaders for penalties for secondary players this past year. Plays a very physical style of football, which I like, but the refs are very inconsistent on how they call that. So I guess, like, as of now, I mean, obviously it depends on what happens in the draft. There's still, a much more free agency to go, but as of now, I guess Diontae Jackson is our number 1 corner. So, I like it from the standpoint of we addressed a position of need in this trade, but at the same time, we now created a new position of need, and that is the wide receiver position in today's NFL. That's a position you do not want to be lacking in. You look at the top teams are just loaded with firepower, especially in our division. You look at the Chiefs, or excuse me, not the Chiefs, the Bengals and the Ravens, and the Browns even added a receiver in Jerry Jeudy. So it's like, I don't know. I just needed to get some of this off my chest. I guess I'm kind of upset. I didn't see it coming. Like, I heard the rumors about, like, how he kind of wanted out or whatever, and there were trade rumors about it, but I didn't really think he was going to be traded, because usually with the Steelers, like, we just kind of blow over that stuff with the rumors. That's kind of how the team is ran, but he got his wish now. I mean, he did a lot of complaining his last year here in Pittsburgh, so we'll see how much he likes playing on the dumpster fire that is the Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young and the worst owner in the NFL, David Tepper. I'm not trying to sound bitter towards him. Like, I am upset by how it played out, but it's like, sometimes, you should just appreciate what you have, and we had a great situation for him here in Pittsburgh, especially after getting Russell Wilson. So I am upset. If you did listen to this mess of a video, just basically me rambling about this, I do appreciate it. Definitely let me know your thoughts on the trade in the comments, and please subscribe. Thanks.